Welcome on the show. Welcome on the show. Happy week, new week. Oh, new week start from yesterday, but anyway, good to see you all. And I will be warned. You must like, share, comment. If this is serving you, if you are getting any insight from this platform, can you share with somebody else that might be beneficial? Don't hide it to yourself. I don't know about you, but I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm happy so much so on this show. I mean, let's welcome Debbie. Debbie is not a visitor. Debbie is what do we call it?
Uh,
Co
you know
co-host.
what? I'm reading this book, and you know what the perfect word is? We are part of a co-elevation.
There you go. I like that. And that's exactly what it is that we're doing co-elevation. So we change it from wherever it is now, to co-elevation. Welcome, welcome. Debbie, how has your week been? It's only started yesterday, but
That's right. It's been good because there is a lot happening this week. So it's about a lot of preparation and accountability.
oh, I see. I've been seeing you in a lot of platforms, and I'm like, oh, Debbie's there. Debbie's there. I can see, but yeah, accountability, and you are up to the task. So thank you for giving and for elevating the community and the whole community at large. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
no
Miss you.
worries.
Yes, last week we couldn't do this
Oh,
because the internet was playing up, but thank God
yes.
we could see you
Well,
right.
that again was about accountability. Get everything set up properly. Make sure it works so that there are no more interruptions moving
That's
forward.
right. Thank you. That's right. Debbie is like first message in the morning is like, I need to check my internet. I've put things in order, but I need to get a trial. So all morning, 10 o'clock, I was rushing. I need to go quickly. Debbie needs to say. So thank you. I appreciate the accountability. And I'm the same as well. I love it. So I appreciate when one does it. But anyway, this week, we've got a topic that I personally really want to know, learn, and to develop myself in. And we're going to hear some serious insight from Deborah. Let's go on a quick break, and we'll be back to the topic of the day. We'll be back. Yeah, welcome. Straight on. Today's topic is seeing beyond perception to discover the truth. I have been pondering on this topic, and I was questioning myself, do I really I think it's about emotional intelligence, but
Mhm.
sometimes some of us people of faith, I reckon we put faith into everything. Let us experience grace, don't let us assume. But I discovered that if you don't have that innate um, sensitivity, it sounds as if you're be stupid for really. I think at some stage, like if you're little, you think little, but when you're older, you don't want to keep on falling into the same trap. You need to be sensitive. But Deborah, I'm just looking at, how do you perceive beyond what you say? Wouldn't it be like you're second guessing somebody, or you're looking out for something? Like, what do you reckon about seeing beyond perception?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, and communication is key to that, right? because you want to ensure that the receiver of your communication is landing exactly the way you want it to land, um, and vice versa. So it's about clarification. It's about, you opened up with emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence requires self-awareness. You need to
Mhm.
be aware of how things are making you feel, or maybe you didn't hear something quite right. But we tend to just go, because we don't want to interrupt, or we don't want to seem rude, or we
Mhm.
don't want to seem stupid. So we just keep nodding and pretending that we've understood, which could
Wow.
be the biggest detriment of our own emotional intelligence, because we're not backing ourselves. We're not going, look, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I didn't quite understand that. Would you mind, just so I know I'm on the right page with you, would you mind just explaining that to me again? It is about that core communication.
Wow, I love that a lot. This happened to me a while ago, many years ago, when my manager was talking to me, and I was trying to prove to her that I'm skilled in this. I got this. I can do it. And she was asking me. It was actually about somebody, a patient of mine that passed away, and we were just trying to, after effect of that. So in that zone, I was just I'm thinking about this person first, integrity, to respect them, make sure I do everything I needed to do, disengage all the attachment. My mind was on that. So she was asking me another question, and I go, yeah, yeah, yeah. And, the following day she said, oh, Temi, I thought you said yeah. And then I said, oh, I was saying yeah yesterday. Actually, I did not quite understand what you said.
Mm, yeah.
This went into a teaching moment, and she told me that that's when I learned you don't say to somebody, I don't quite understand you. She said, put it back on yourself, that I am trying to understand. No, I didn't understand you, because she's giving me the message. It's up to me to receive. If I don't receive, it's very technical to me. I'm like, wow, that's a good point. I like it. So say I trying to understand. And you're right. When we just say yeah, yeah, we say this
Yes. Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
times. I've got an
Absolutely.
instance for a wedding. There was a video that was going viral once, that an African man married a white lady, and then they were during the solemnization when they were trying to wed them, and they said, for better, for worse, for poor, and that you will obey this man all your life. So this is part of the thing. And this lady is like, no, I'm not obeying him. I'm not part of the military. No, but I don't, like, it went viral like crazy. But we start to discuss this, like, do you know what obey means? Are you all obeying your husbands? And
Mm,
I had this panel with the ladies, and they were like, no, no, I'm not obeying. Now we're partner in this. It's not about obeying, but you say it at your wedding, because you are just saying, yes, I do. Yes, I do. You're not
yes.
really listening to the content of the I do that you're saying, because are you really understanding it, and are you going to really do it?
Yes, that's right. Absolutely. Look, and that's how much language needs to evolve, right? Because those are the traditional vows that have been there for how long, right? And so we enter marriage already, without understanding the language that we're saying yes to. So, it's like when Mark and I got married.
Mm.
He decided that we would get married. Um, well, no, sorry, he suggested, and I went along with it. I agreed to it, that we would get married by a priest who would speak it in my natural tongue, in Te Reo Māori. Now that meant, before he would say yes to that, that we had to learn it and we had to understand it, because I don't speak my language fluently.
Right.
So yeah, we had to learn it. And he said to us, if I feel that you don't understand, I'm going to switch to English. So that kind of made me really understand what I was saying yes to, because not only was I trying to understand it in a different language, I had to really understand what I was saying yes to. So tradition is great.
Mm.
However, what we know with tradition now, we can still make it our own.
What you just said about Mark always get me every time. One day we're gonna have a show specifically for Mark. Wanting this thing, to be
Mm.
said in your language blows my mind. It doesn't even speak your language.
No, yeah,
Wow.
exactly. Yeah. So that was,
Wow.
yeah. And like I was taken aback in that moment, but
Okay.
I thought, yeah, he like he was right because it was deeper than that. It was
Mm.
about really, in the end, it was really about knowing what we were both committing to in this matrimony.
Wow. All right. Let's go on a break. We'll be back. Thank you, Deborah. Welcome back on the show. We're still talking about seeing beyond perception to discover the truth. Deborah, I believe that this requires some sort of strength, some sort of development, some sort of self awareness, because um and state of mind, because when I was getting married, I just want to marry. I was so happy. I never heard one word that they said at the wedding. I just want to be married. And I believe we all do this. I mean, no, sorry, you know uh for
Mm,
lack of better words, mostly we do this. And I think that's why the a lot of relationships suffer, because you say yes to a whole lot of things. You got into it and then you discover you don't want it. So I think this skill is really, really good. However, I'm thinking, I about somebody that will deceive you for many, many years before you realize, and
mm,
there's no inclination that this person is deceiving you, and you
mm.
still couldn't get them. Like, they're so perfect in
Yeah,
deceit, in
yeah,
deceit. So, and I also think in relationship, in any sort of relationship that you perceive, you thought it was genuine relationship, is it okay to start thinking, um maybe there's an underlining term, maybe there's an underlining interest, and you might go that path and there might not be anything? How do we check ourselves in to know that we're not just going making an error?
yeah, yeah. It's actually listening to our gut for a starting point.
Mm.
We do we will say, um, we will make excuses for what we heard, how we heard it. Um, we'll make excuses for something that I saw that wasn't quite right, because we believe in the relationship that we've got. Now, this is friendship. This is what you know, colleague. It might be partner, husband, wife, whatever it may be. When we put that relationship up on a pedestal almost,
Oh, that's the
we
good one.
yeah we tend to ignore those subtle signs, that were always there. Uh, but having said that, some people, like you say, they're experts at this. They do this very, very well. So we can't always get it right. The only thing that we can check in is that self awareness. How is this making me feel?
Mm.
Somebody, a look changes while you're in conversation with somebody. It's almost like, you can be in conversation with somebody and you know that their mind is elsewhere. They're not actually listening to you. Now, and when I look back on my experiences, I've kind of just kept talking, even though I know that this person isn't paying attention to me whatsoever.
Mhm.
but I'm embarrassed to stop because I might catch I might
I love it.
yeah, I might catch them out getting caught out, if you know what I mean. Like,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
too worried about how they might feel, but I know that I'm not being
Listen.
listened to. So when I look back on those and I remember how I felt, I remember the thoughts that I have. I remember, feeling like, feeling small. Am
Mhm.
I not important enough for you to listen to me, or don't I have anything interesting to say?
Mhm.
Um, Now those are that now becomes emotional intelligence, because when you feel it again, it's time to go, okay, you know what, maybe it's not me. And so now what I do is actually I just stop talking and I'll start talking to somebody else. And then
Wow.
you will either notice the person moves away because they do, and look, and sometimes it's not out of disrespect. They've actually walked in a room, um, they're actually looking for somebody in particular, but in the meantime they've bumped into you, had a conversation, then they've seen the person that they were after, and they want to be over there.
Wow.
It's so many different things, but the most important thing is that you look after your own emotions so that you don't go home feeling small and little and start self-doubting yourself. um, or you can just say, you can throw something in there pretty dynamic, going, you could, what do we call that? It's a pattern interrupt.
Mhm.
Right? Somebody has they're not listening to you, so you could just say, yeah, so the other day I went to the zoo and I jumped on the back of a giraffe, and they catch that and they go, what? And they go, oh yeah, okay, now you're listening, now I'll keep talking. You know what I mean? That's what we call a pattern interrupt, because I'm interrupting the other person's pattern because I said something completely wild and
Mhm.
out there. It's like, what do you mean you jumped on the back of a giraffe at the zoo? Um, it's that sort of thing. But the most important thing is be self-aware about how you're feeling, the thoughts that you're having, and because most of the time they're thoughts about ourselves.
Hmm.
That that is where we just need to hold on to the so I don't want to say hold on, but we just need to be self-aware of that, so that when it happens again, um, because we know what that feels like and we know the thoughts, so that we can make a decision on what we do next.
Wow. All right. Let's shift a bit. How about you were listening to somebody and they were going on and on, sometimes, like we said, unsolicited advice or, unwarranted conversation, just going like for an hour, like literally engaging you and trapping you. I like what you said when you want to talk to somebody else in the room. But I won't do that. I will feel I'll be very disrespectful to just go. I'll make you feel I'm listening. I will listen to you. I might say, do you mind? And take a seat and go. I won't do that. But what if you're the one that somebody trapped and you needed to go? And it's not that I don't want to listen to you, but you've gone far beyond my availability or something like that.
Yes, yeah,
How do you manage that? Because I know you and I, we've got similar pe- people
yeah.
in our space that are like this. How do you deal with those people?
Yeah, look, and this is for me personally, this is an ongoing, I want to say, experience that I'm wanting to find the right way to do it, because some people I can easily say, sorry to interrupt, but I've really just got to go and talk to other people, but I'll
Mhm,
come back to you, right?
mhm, mm,
And then there are some where, and I think it actually probably, now that I'm saying it out loud, connects to what I was saying before. There's a feeling, there's a thought going on in my head that I don't want to interrupt this person for some reason.
mm,
Um, but we do have to learn to build that up, and it could be. And I see some people do it perfectly well, like, because they'll just go, that's great, but I'm unsure how is that related to our first discussion, something
Oh,
like that, right?
yeah, I
Or
heard
there's,
that before. I'm
yeah,
still learning how to say
yeah,
that.
yeah. But and for me, it's like still finding the right moment to interject that.
Mm,
Um, but there are, yeah, you'll find with some people it's easy for you to interrupt them,
mm,
or just to excuse yourself out of the conversation.
mm.
Um, and there are actually, I'll tell you one thing I do is I'm actively listening for something that I can interject with. So they've said something that I can go, oh, and then have part of that conversation. And then if we're in a group, then I'm directing that to somebody else so that there's another conversation, so that the conversation is now happening this way, um,
You can
instead of this person. Yeah. So, but it's very, it is learning to do that with grace and respect, because here I am saying, take notice of how you feel and what thoughts you're having. That other person could be having many thoughts. They could be going, um, uh, that I don't know how to wrap this up, and nobody's saying anything, so I don't like silence, so I'll just keep talking.
I just keep talking.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry, we can't keep listening.
yeah,
And also, what I discover is for me, depends on the person, So, if they're my family, I'm very comfortable to say, I mean, I do this, but I don't know if they might be feeling offended sometimes, but I thought I need to escape. I really can't be here. Like, it's too much. They're telling me
mm,
things that is not relevant, things that I've got no
mm,
idea, things that I can't really, relate with. And they just want to say, so I just say things like, I could be very abrupt when it's my family. I'm like, I don't want
mm,
to say this. You see how busy I am. I haven't even had drink. Most of the time it's like this. I haven't had a drink since 10 o'clock in the morning to 2. You think I want to listen to this thing? I'm not interested. I can't. I literally do my hand and my body like this, and I walk away. so and then again they'll bring it again. This person doesn't, if they don't listen, I will still do it again and say, you know quite well that I'm not interested in this whatever it is. I'm not interested. It has no benefit for me whatsoever. What you're telling me, it's you're not asking for an advice. It doesn't build
mm,
me. You're just telling me things from somebody back in Honolulu or something. What has it got to?
yeah,
So I will kind of abruptly tell them. It could be insulting, but I thought I have to do something drastically to get myself out of it
yeah,
for my
yeah,
family. But if
yeah,
it's a friend, again, I look at the friend. Is it their status? Is it their emotional capability? I'm thinking like, I don't want to insult this my friend. She's already very fragile. You know what I mean?
mm,
She's already very
yes,
fragile, and I know this. How can I behave as if I'm really interested in her affair? What she's telling me, I'm not interested, but
yeah,
I'm concerned about her. So because of her, I'm listening here.
yeah,
So this is that one also. I'm learning how to manage to say, I love you and I respect you, but you say this something small and it could break them.
yeah,
Again, somebody could get really, really distraught for this about
yeah,
this.
yeah. Absolutely, and we do. We do have to find those ways to communicate to people, being as respectful as we can. But sometimes there is this abruptness that needs to happen, and it does depend on. We know who our friends are. We know who our associates are, and meeting somebody new is interesting, right?
Mm,
So there's a different way that we will respond, to somebody that just keeps talking and talking. Um, but at the same time, the more that you are spending with that person, the more you naturally build up that confidence to be able to interrupt and say, "Okay, I've got to go now," or it's even. you could ask more questions, interrupt them with more questions, but it could lead into more discussion.
I know.
Um, but yeah, I think over time those that we don't interrupt become people that we feel comfortable to interrupt with now, because we've been with them a few times, and we're starting to understand each other a bit more. So, but what I really find works really well is to be able to deflect the conversation to another person, so that conversation is happening elsewhere, and then therefore that person becomes the listener and not the speaker.
Love, love. That's the best tip ever. We go on a quick break, and I want to ask Debbie about some unspoken language in Aussie language. She know. Welcome back on the show. I actually love the way and where we've taken this conversation to. It's about us identifying that, to perceive that truth, to know, to be able to discover, and for the other person to be able to discover us as well, is vice versa. And so, what are the, like, as a migrant, I mean, we're fairly, I don't know, new. How would you identify when someone like Australian is telling you they don't want you, or they want you to be quiet? How would you get that? Because we don't know.
Um, I'm, you know what, they just stop talking to you, but it's not just a matter of just stop talking to you. It's almost like a turn away of the body.
Oh,
Um,
oh,
uh,
really?
yeah, and and again, it's just whatever's going through their mind at the time, that they're because it's quite it's put it this way, we can't get on with everybody,
Hmm.
right?
True.
So and we need to be okay with that. And I think
Mhm.
that's a big thing too, is that we need to be okay that we're not going to be everybody's cup of tea.
Right.
But at the same time, that emotional intelligence, that self-awareness, we should know too that this person isn't my person, and
Mhm.
that's okay, because everybody has a person. They have a tribe. They know who their people are,
Mhm.
and sometimes, yeah, we end up in spaces where, oh, okay, this isn't quite my tribe. I'm just gonna keep moving around until I find that comfortable spot. So yeah, it can be really subtle, but kind of abrupt at the same time. And I wouldn't say that it's them, that the person that might do this isn't always just being rude and obnoxious. But we will come across people that are. Um, but it's, the biggest thing that I would say is it's okay not to be liked by everybody.
Mhm.
Um, it's still about respect.
Mhm.
Like we said before, you can be talking to somebody and you know that their mind is elsewhere, you know that they're not focusing on you. Now if they were to do that every time we have a conversation, then I'd be asking myself, well, maybe we're just not the right people for each other.
Right.
um, I tell you something else, that when you ask people questions and they're going, and the answer is either yes or no, a real giveaway is, and we've got to be mindful, because our unconscious will tell the external world what we're thinking without us really knowing it. So somebody might ask us a question and it's a straight out yes, but we're going yes, yep, which is indicating no, no, I'm I'm
Okay.
saying yes, and
Mhm.
vice versa.
Mhm.
It's like a no, but I'm nodding my head. So the internal is coming out, um,
Wow.
and letting the cat out of the bag that what I'm saying is not quite true, or
Mm.
what I'm being told. But and it's interesting. And look, when I see that happen, there's I've got to say there's a few things that I've learnt being part of this, being part of such a multicultural community, is that behaviors in one culture it is acceptable but could be unacceptable in another
That's
culture, and we have to learn that about each other.
mhm.
We've got to be mindful not to take our culture and assume that it fits everybody.
Thank you.
And I'll give an example. The first time I was working inside the African community, and I was talking to these young boys, and they just weren't looking at me, and they weren't moving, and I'm going, oh, I don't know if this is working. I don't think I'm connecting. And it wasn't until afterwards they were going, no, out of respect, they don't look you in the eye.
Yeah.
Um, and then that's when I realized I need to understand other
God.
cultures and not assume that what I believe in is what everybody else believes in.
Mhm. Wow, that's fantastic. I've learned a lot, and I hope our viewers have learned a lot. What I got from this is that you might get this kind of pushback. It might not be intentional to be malicious. It's just the space wherever that person is at that time. It could be they're in a hurry. It could be they're there for something else, but not you. Don't be offended. You take this as just respect yourself and respect the other people, really, because it goes vice versa. I love this. And also to be very mindful of that little like, can I get out of this trap? And to keep quiet. People from where we come from, we're extremely loving, extremely, we're just love, and we think everybody should love us the same in return. But this is what we're saying. They might love you, but they might not want to listen to your shenanigan at the time. Just respect yourself and find something else to do.
Mm.
But Deborah, I'm really, really grateful for another wonderful session today.
It's
Thank you. It's
amazing.
always good to have a conversation with you. You get that insight. So that pattern, what did you call pattern again?
Yeah,
To
pattern interrupt, right? If
pattern,
they won't listen to you, throw something in there that's completely wild, and then they'll just go, "What did you say?"
yeah, pattern interrupt. You just jump on the back of the camel at the zoo, where it be zoo, and they say what? They listen
Yeah.
to you. But until next week, we're gonna say bye bye for now. Thanking you everybody for watching. Bye, Deborah. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.